Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play that meets every Tuesday night. We're officially into the late December holiday season, so I'm not sure how many sessions we've got left before the end of the year. This might be the last, depending. Who knows? We'll find out later. In any event, as of last week, the party had finally finished their battle. The compound battle between the Raiken and the Warlocks of Zephyr. Several of the Warlocks had managed to call out to Zephyr and get removed from the area. The party will have to discuss how and why that might be, if they are interested. And Tatsuya's army took on and drove off the Raiken, though it is debatable how much of that was their effort and how much of that was just them being very delicious and filling. After the two battles concluded, Tatsuya sent his army to rest while he dealt with the intruders, taking them aside to discuss what it is they have come to this island and interfered with him and his army's purpose for. But first, they need to deal with the prisoners. Laramendus was kind enough to cage two of the soldiers from Tatsuya's army who turned out to be working for Zephyr, their purpose seeming to be to take away Leah from the party, perhaps to surrender her over to their master, their patron. And a discussion ensued where the party helped to intimidate these two into divulging secrets about their relationship with Zephyr and his reasons and methods for chasing Leah. Through the course of this discussion, it seemed that one of these two warlocks was interested in maintaining his relationship with Zephyr, having been promised by Tatsuya that if he answered the questions, that he would be released to survive on his own. The other seemed convinced, after facing off against the party and facing down this brutal questioning, that he might do well to follow in Leah's footsteps and, in his words, trade up for a better patron. And so, that is about where we left off last time, amidst this discussion, as the party is figuring out what to do with these Zephyrites. And I believe that one of the last things discussed was that you couldn't talk to Zintharamil, Leah, until you had a chance to resummon Lorelei, who is your conduit to him.
Which takes the time.
Yes. So I believe you have somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes, let's call it 20 minutes, of this cage up. And Tatsuya, having had several of his direct questions about Zephyr, his nature, his connection to these two, answered, seems to be content letting you seek out answers from these prisoners. So, if you will, you may pick it up from there. You had the half-elf, stoic one named Dale, asking how to get in the good graces of a new patron, and the other, as the party has decided, stupid one who is as yet unnamed.
Is his name Chip?
It could be. You can call him that. But you haven't at this time been given one in character. Who seems to just want to finish giving you what you're asking for, thereby completing his end of the deal, and leave.
Yeah, last thing I remember is that we mentioned that the Kraken is likely still alive, so swimming isn't a good idea.
Mm-hmm. And that was when Chip had asked a bit flippantly, so, is your guy around to talk to?
Yeah. Like, if you stick around willingly, not causing any trouble, I can summon my patron. Or, like, summon his spokesperson, at least.
Dale sits down inside the cage with his arms still folded. Sort of just watching the rain patter over the walls of force around him. And then, before bringing his eyes back to you and glowering a bit darkly, but silently nodding, as if saying, sure. But otherwise wordless. Chip kind of scratches his chin and says, I don't know, I'm still thinking maybe I'll take my chances with the waves. Still thinking it's better to be the hunter than the hunted.
Well, it all depends on how long your side is going to be the hunters.
Cross that bridge when I come to it.
Well, there's a bigger hunter out there if you're willing to check your luck. I just point at the ocean.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, test the water first, take a tailwind, see if it's too cold.
Look at the others for guidance. Anyone willing to chip in?
I'll say over the bond. Well, the one of them did manage to escape. He jumped off the dock and seemed to be confident that he could get away. They might have spells that can allow them to easily get out of the water. You've Dimension Door. They might too.
Good point.
Voice in the sky.
Yeah.
How far, like, distance-wise is this island from, like, mainland?
Oh, a lot of miles on all sides.
Okay.
You're in the, so Storm Reef Isle is in the northern part of the Inner Sea, but the Inner Sea is a very long inland ocean that stretches, from the southern, from the joining point between Thenandir and Aspara, all the way down to Sudaran. And this island is pretty much not visible from land. You got to take a boat here, and it takes a few days. In general, like it's not an easy get, but they are warlocks. They're not low-level warlocks, so they could have, or they could know something.
Yeah.
I mean, like the ones we knocked out all were called away by Zephyr. Maybe he just is looking to get away. I'm gonna have to use that to get away. He seems confident enough that I don't think he's worried about the Kraken, and I think he's got a reason not to be.
The question if he actually do have a reason or if he's just stupid. I mean, it doesn't strike me as the smartest one of the two.
Yeah. And again, the other warlock escaped by just jumping into the ocean. Seems gotten away. Don't know what happened to him.
The problem is that they didn't have all this information.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if we let him go, then everything he's told us, Zephyr's gonna know about, so...
He might already, if he's listening in.
I don't know how that works, so...
But to me, he just seemed to know things that he need to report to him as often. Then again, he also got a lot from from my familiar at the time. So he might have done the same as Sintara has.
Yeah, none of them have familiar summons, so...
Yeah.
Well, at least that are visible.
or that
Also
are
true.
within 10 feet of me. I don't know. If we let him go, then we can use that info that we learned on where he was going to bring you. Like right now, we might be able to use that to try to ambush anybody there. Maybe get more info on Zephyr. If we let him go, that's definitely not going to happen. But don't know if it's worth it to try to do that anyway.
Maybe if I can like get a piece of his hair or something, I could scry on him.
You do that. I have good I'm very sneaky. I could get a piece, something. I'm sure.
Oh wait, are you all speaking on the bond?
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you
I
have
hadn't,
no
I hadn't
idea
realized that.
what's
So
going
Laramentis hadn't made his comment about being visible because he's not on the bond and didn't hear you. Sorry about
on.
that.
No,
I forgot about that.
yeah, no, you're not on the one.
I think at that point, like, Tatsuya would be, since he's let them kind of take over the, interrogation here, he'd be kind of, like, leaning back toward Laramentis and saying, this is a psychological strategy to psych them out. All the silence.
It does have that effect, I imagine.
It's just like looking around at your silent party. Like, what is going on?
Hasn't he been in the circle, like in the bond before? When he traveled with us?
Probably, but I'm about to tell him. So they're connected telepathically.
Oh, right. That's right. You did that when we were searching for Raiken, the Fae.
It is an extremely useful spell.
So it's not a strategy to psych them out. Your friends are just conversing.
I am unaware of what they are saying. I was dispelled. So
I imagine he kind of like suppresses a chuckle. I see.
it could be a combination of the two. If you do have any wizards that you'd like me to teach this spell to, and we have the time to do so, I would be happy to share the knowledge.
You're going to see him narrow his eyes at you for a moment, just sort of like there's definitely some thoughts going through his head right now. And finally he opens his mouth and says, "I think there is much that we have yet to discuss once this interrogation is concluded."
Laramentis nods. I mean, if he was trying to like gauge Laramentis' intentions, Laramentis did not see, like that was an entirely like open thing without any intended strings attached to it.
Oh, I know. I know. I know exactly how your character thinks.
It is entirely reasonable that he would be suspicious of that. But like, if he is, gauging him, that's the mindset that Laramentis is in for that. He's basically separated out the two.
Yeah, I figured. Alright, sorry. I just felt like the people not on the bond needed an aside really quickly. You may resume.
You mean the person on the bond, not on the bond.
Tatsuya's a people.
He's not on the bond.
He's an NPC.
Thandros is a people.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, if you want to do that, I think we're probably going to get better information off the elf anyway. We can let the human go. I'll sleight of hand some hair or something that we can use to scry him. What exactly would you need to scry him? Would a possession do?
Like a piece of his body is most efficient.
Alright, so like a
like
hair
a
would
piece
be
of
better.
hair or a nail or something like that is like that works the best.
Or
Alright, well,
finger.
Steal his favorite weapon.
I think he would notice if I took his finger. So I'll
I don't
probably
know.
just try to take a piece of hair. I'm pretty good, but you tend to feel when your finger gets cut off.
Alright, so have you got anything further to say to them, or are you going to conclude?
I think for now I want to like be able to summon a Lorelei back before continuing saying more.
Okay. Yukikaze, Jebel, Raiken, do you have anything that you would like to say to these two before their cage is gone?
That being said, by the way, there were questions I came up with after last time, but I was stupid enough not to write them down, so they're all gone.
Oh, you should write things down.
If they come back, I'll let you know. But I doubt it at this point.
I contributed with my intimidation, and I have nothing more to do. Or nothing I really want to get from them.
I can't think of anything.
Like, have we told him that we're allowing him to go?
You haven't said anything out loud at this point, since offering to speak to Zentharmil on their behalf if they wanted to join him, and he said he was going to take his chances in the ocean.
Okay. Then Raiken won't say anything for now.
Elias gonna then address him and be okay. I will start summoning my familiar at once. You are free to take your chances in the ocean, though be warned that you will be watched by guards if you try doing anything funny. We will make it. Yeah, we won't make it last.
Ship is gonna... Go ahead.
Once the force cage is gone, then you can go.
Ship is gonna stand up, you know, kind of smiling, maybe a little bit snarkily, and he puts his hands up in mock surrender, and says, "Oh, well, I know these guys, so I know how it goes."
I'm going to step aside. I'll ask Tazia. I'm going to need to do a little bit of a summon. It's just my familiar. You met her before. Is there a place I can sit quietly for an hour?
So you're not going to participate in our discussion?
It requires a bit of concentration, and like I have to sit like with an incest. It's a whole thing.
I only mean to point out that there is a meeting that your group and I must have, and if you're doing that, you will not be privy to what we discuss.
And sit within air length, like I can hear you, or we can commune over telepathic bond.
Very well. He is going to just sort of gesture off to the north a bit, say, "With the army at rest and the interrogation here concluded, that area should be secluded for a while. I imagine that was where I was going to speak with you anyway."
Thank you. I bow my head a little bit, trying to be respectful, but not go all the way to a courtesy, because Leah can't get herself to do that, considering all the grudge she still has for this guy.
How much longer is the force cage going to be around?
Just a few minutes at this point. At most, like 10. So, I just wanted to make sure that everyone had said everything they wanted to say, while the cage was still there, preventing any potential shenanigans. Yuki, Jebel, Raiken, you're good with this?
Yep, Rooney.
Okay. Then, the last few minutes will elapse, the force cage will collapse, and these two will pretty much instantly know because they're going to start getting rained on. The rain's starting to fall, a bit heavier, larger droplets at this point. So the first one hits, and you see both of them kind of shudder a little bit and look up and realize that the cage is gone.
They would
And
have been hit by everything that was. Is the cage square shaped?
it's square-shaped, so there could have been some pooled up there and dropped
Yeah,
on
that
them,
would
but
just.
I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, surface tension exists. So yeah, just a smattering of water falls upon them, and Dale kind of grunts as he gets to his feet. Chip here is going to look through the group over to Tatsuya and say, permission to... permission to have leave, Commander? And Tatsuya, at that, is you're going to see this, his expression hardens as he looks upon this man. He says, "You have my leave to jump in the ocean and swim as hard as you can, traitor." And, Chip's gonna nod, ducking his head kind of low, and start squeezing past you guys, hands up where you can see them as he just sort of sidles through.
As he goes past, I'm going to pull. I'm going to try to slide a hand a bit of his hair.
Okay. Roll some sleight of hand. Is perception.
I didn't roll well, but I do have reliable talent. And a very good sleight of hand. It's
Okay.
not good with that. Plus 11. I don't have expertise in sleight of hand.
Okay.
I'd make it 21. I'm gonna use my inspiration.
Okay.
That's a 24.
Okay. No, good use of inspiration. He would have seen the 21. He does not appear to notice as you reach out, as he seems to be keeping an eye on Leah as he goes past between you two, so you're able to just reach up and snatch one off the back of his head. As you do so, and you quickly drop your hand to your side, looking innocent, you will catch a glint in the eye of the half-elf who is watching you. Oop. And
he's gone.
He walks to the dock between the boats. He turns back for one last look where he just sort of like tips his head to one side onto his shoulder, looking at the group, at Leah. You're not quite sure where. And then he just sort of falls backward into the water with a splash. When he's gone, you will?
I will hand Leah the hair.
Thank you.
After that's enough.
I put it in my book with hairs. Since you're very perceptive, Vendor, you do notice that she has a collection of hairs and scales from Dragonborn and stuff like that in her book.
Do I recognize any of the hairs as mine?
I think you might have given one willingly at some point.
I might have. I don't remember.
Because there's no way Leah has ever gotten one from you without you noticing.
It would be surprising.
You're human. Gotta sleep sometime.
I do have to sleep sometime. But would that be enough? I'm at you're at a -5 when you're sleeping?
Yeah.
So it's only a 24 instead of a 29.
Ridiculous.
Of course, it hasn't always been so high.
Yeah. So, you see that. You also see the half-elf standing there in the rain, sort of every now and then brushing some collected water off of some fold in his clothing and looking about at the group a little expectantly. And he says, "So, when do we get to talk about this new pact?"
We just gotta summon her familiar first. It'll take about an hour, but we also have things to discuss with Tatsia and Thandros.
So in the meantime, am I remanded to my own recognizance?
You'll be kept under watch, but you'll not be imprisoned.
And in that case, he turns past you, yeah, like the other, toward Tatsuya, and says, "Better get my guards, Commander." And Tatsuya is going to sigh and move past. He'll linger for a moment and say, "If he's a spellcaster, then you should keep an eye on him until I come back with someone else who can." Tatsuya heads off toward the camp, and after a few minutes, he comes back with another person. Dale does not try anything during that time. Simply stands there silently, staring at you. Honestly, you wonder if he's having a conversation in his head like you did, because it feels like that. So at that point, I believe you have 1 hour left on the 2-hour bond. Is that correct?
I mean, a little bit less, but yeah, because it would have been an hour for that spell plus
Are Warlocks
20
capable
seconds
of
or something.
casting
Gotcha.
telepathic bond?
What?
Are Warlocks capable of casting telepathic bond?
I can't answer that question.
It's not on the Warlock spell list now.
Alright. So it's unlikely that they are bonded telepathically. Not impossible, but unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are ways it could be possible, but Leah wouldn't know those ways, so I don't really want to answer it. I feel like it's a little too meta.
Tatsuya is going to leave his guards with Dale here, and he's going to look to Larabendis and say, "Then, I think it's time for our chat."
Laramidas nods. Are we moving the characters away, or is it fine to just leave the models?
I think that he would...
Okay.
We're gonna move him away.
Okay.
A little distance so that he can have this discussion. He's going to march over here with Thandros on his heels, and he's going to turn to face you as you gather up before him. He's going to hand off his helmet to Thandros so that he can fold his arms behind his back and stand at his full height before you, clearly trying to appear more impressive. He says, "My second in command here informs me that you want to discuss strategy regarding the dragons. He informed me that you did not want to fight my army and would surrender peacefully. And I trust him. You all, I have shown more trust than I felt was wise, but I chose to do so. You attacked my soldiers, though you say, and it seems, at this point, true, that they had an ulterior motive for joining my army. And so, I would now hear what it is you have to say. I would understand why you have come to Stormreefile, despite that it seemed to me we had an understanding that you were going to deal with the dragons in your way, and I was going to deal with the dragons in mine. There the tween shall meet. Feel free to speak up, any one of you.
We had long discussions about what our plans were to deal with the dragons after that, and upon completion of those discussions, we decided that it was imperative that this army was imperative to our plans in stopping them. And we believe that our plans have a much greater chance of succeeding at the goal of destroying Tiamat. You would hear us out.
I would hear you out, but I will inform you now my skepticism. So please, tell me what it is you think that you can do with the army I have gathered and my people have trained that is better than I would do with it.
Well, as your plan is to go and fight all 5 dragons at once, or at least right after another, we
Yeah.
plan to fight them one at a time. So how we would do this is fighting the Kraken there.
Mhm.
Look at the losses and the damage you took, and you did manage to fight it off, but you didn't kill the dragon. And your greatest asset against that Kraken was the grenades. Those grenades are, you only had access to those grenades because we found them in Garland and brought them out into the world. We have more technology like that can be used to help fight the dragons, but we need time to develop it and have it reverse engineered. We also have several countries who have offered to have their armies help assist in the fighting of the dragons. But again, we need time to organize them. So ultimately, the goal would be to take this army and reseal the 4 dragons that are awakened, to then take all of their corpses and move them to prearranged arenas where we can then resummon them one at a time and kill them one after the other.
Which we
In
found
an arena.
out.
Yes.
Well, I was gonna say, which we found out that the dragons aren't tied to the locations, just their corpses, so we can move them freely.
So we can
Yes.
choose the arena. We can lock them into a place where we have the advantage and fight them one by one.
And this fighting them one by one. How long do you imagine that would take? What are you going to give yourself for rest time between dragons? How far apart do you think these arenas will be, and how long does it take to get from one to the next?
It will have to be close. Likely set up in Ebengard, where most of the dragons' corpses will already be.
And the thing is, also, well, at least one of my concerns is if with the Wakening of the Dragons, if we don't get them under control ASAP and sealed at least, the damage they could do to make this take even longer.
Well, I agree that that last is true. The longer they're free, the more damage they will do to the world. Which is why I've been hurrying to do this. But I'm still a little confused because, as I understand it, from my divine source of information, the dragons must be killed in very short order in order for the ritual to take place.
Yes, likely within the same day. So ideally, we would fight one, have maybe a short rest between each fight.
Are you sure that you can accomplish that? Because you may be forgetting that the ritual to release them takes time.
Yes, we won't be able to have every person fighting in every battle. We'll have to have separate army groups ready to fight each dragon, and then us as champions will be able to maneuver between the fights and fight in each one.
You wish to gather numbers and then separate them?
Ideally, they'll be close enough that most of the army can still fight in most of the battles, but there will have to be some set up for preparations in each.
If there's overlap between when two dragons are risen due to the casting time of the ritual to revive them, what is to stop them from seeking each other and combining their effort, as they already have the ability to do, which you seem to think is a problem?
Well, we'll need to take them out fast then. Still, that's a lot better than fighting 5 at once.
Could be. But you're still suggesting to me that you wish to kill the 5 dragons and then Tiamat.
Yes.
That does not sound like what I was told when I left Espara.
That is what we ultimately decided upon. As you knew, not all of us agreed on what the plan was going to be. And that was what we ultimately decided on.
And how do you plan to get Wittemir's scale? One you prevented me from retrieving. And have given our enemy who holds it an insane amount of power that he didn't have at the time I was to take it.
We can deal with that. If we can't reason with Tresnor, then we've beaten a Lich before. We can do it again.
I don't think... Is the Lich even on par with a dragon to begin with?
Yes.
It is.
Liches are quite powerful. We had beaten a Lich before. We already have another Lich on the kill list. If we need to put Tresnor on it too, we can.
Out of curiosity, how long had the Lich you defeated before been a Lich?
At least 500 years.
Do you know how old Tresnor is?
Older than that.
Do you think perhaps that makes a difference?
We're also a lot more powerful than we were when we fought the last.
I'm not questioning that, and I honestly admire the enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm, I admire it. I do, honestly.
I would like to get your rebuttal on things. With you keep questioning all our stuff. With all the extra preparation we want to do, with you rushing and trying to speed so quickly, what guarantees do you have that you can kill all the dragons at once, active and alive?
And then Tiamat.
Well, I do have the support of Bahamut himself. Believe that counts for no small thing.
It might if Bahamut actually came down and fought on the battlefield himself, but I doubt that's going to happen.
As do I. But we are not without his gifts, his boons, his power.
Okay, continue.
That, then I already have this army, and it's already willing to go through and do this, ready to take orders. Do you think that if I surrender this army to you, they're just going to go along with what you say? You don't believe that they have any convictions of their own?
No, I'm not saying that, but you still haven't given me guarantees that they can bring down a dragon.
Do you have guarantees that you can bring down a dragon?
Neither do we. But...
Okay, then why are you asking me for something you can't give either?
Do you truly believe this army alone, at this stage, is capable of fighting 5-on-1? All 5 of Tiamat's children at once, followed immediately by Tiamat?
Well, so...
I think they need a couple more weeks.
I I feel
And
a
you're
little bit.
willing to risk it.
Yes.
And what if your army loses?
Then we lose.
What if you and your entire army is wiped out, and then all 5 dragons are free to reign and rampage and destroy the rest of the world?
The same can happen for you.
But it's much more likely for us to succeed. We're
It's
already
possible for you to
because of you.
succeed.
Well, see, so what I'm getting at mainly also is the fact that, we're both kind of on similar footings. Like, yes, we have gifts of Cord and Bahamut, and also of ancient technology. We don't have the numbers for soldiers, but a good portion of what we have can enhance the capabilities of soldiers.
Yes.
So it's
I know.
more.
I've kept close tabs on what you've given to the Temple of Ione.
I am just reiterating what we've also just talked about a little bit.
I understand. But the problem here is that you're trying to tell me that I don't have a guarantee that it's going to work. But you don't either. You're suggesting to take the force I've already gathered and then divide that power, whereas I wish to combine it further.
So, what I'm getting...
If I fail...
Bring a lot more force to you.
If I fail, they destroy the world. If you fail, they destroy the world.
So, but... That's
so we
also
should go for the plan that has the greatest chance of success.
Also, hold on. See, you're also being one-sided thinking our plan is purely good too. But so the fact is, what I'm also kind of getting at is, yes, we both see where we have our doubts about both plans, but could there also be not a way to make a combined plan? You see the benefits of both sides already. Where each one is lacking, where the possibilities of our failures will be, and maybe there's something we can do to amend that.
That is possible. Do you know what the dragons have been doing in Ebengard since they have risen? Have you looked in on that, researched it at all?
I don't think I know. If I kind of look at the rest of the party, does anyone know?
We are not aware of what they are currently doing, only that they have taken a large swath of the country.
They've been gathering their broods. Gathering to themselves their children, and their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren, and so on. And some of them are heeding the call. Many are not. The longer we give them, which includes putting them back and bringing them out later, the more of the chromatic dragons that they are the parents of will rise to that cause, and then they will have their own army for us to deal with. Right now, that's small. The primary army belongs to Bala, and she does not get along well with her sisters. That is our advantage now, and it will not last. Most of the red dragons have refused the call from Karasoth. There are few enough blue dragons as it is. And the white dragons, ones who live there, are barely convinced that they can raise Wittemere. Do you know where Wittemere's body lies?
I don't, so we only know the scale.
Roll history. Anyone, everyone.
Oh, well, Raiken's definitely not knowing it. He's actually good at history, but he only got a 9 total.
Oof.
I only got a 17.
Only.
I rolled a 3.
I got a 20.
28?
Just a 20.
20.
I got an 8.
You got an 8. Okay. So,
I'd like to think that Raiken just doesn't care about any of the other dragons other than Bala, so
I mean,
he
I
never
believe
researched
that.
them.
the two of you who rolled 17 and 20. Leah, did you check?
I've been busy summoning.
That's right. Never mind. The two of you that rolled 17 and 20, you remember being in Tresnor's presence when he told you that he took the scale as far as he could from the body. Given that the landmass you all live on is oblong, and he went to the southern tip of it.
I can guess the corpse is probably in Evangard.
It'd be a good guess.
I was thinking, I expected him to be asking for something much more precise.
Yeah.
He was... Anyway, does anybody answer? When he
I guess
says,
I'd
do you
say-
know where Wittimir's body lies?
In Evangard.
I know where the body is. And you'll need to take the scale there once you have it.
Yeah, we're pretty good at finding information. It's not what we're worried about.
Finding information takes time. The question is, do you have time?
Can I estimate how badly the Kraken wounded the army? Like, how
Yeah, you can try to estimate that. What would be a good roll for that? Maybe just wisdom or int, I guess. One of the two.
I rolled a 15, so that's good. So... Alright, with wisdom, it's a 23. With int, it's a 22.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, those are my saving throws. That's not right. With wisdom, it's a 17. With intelligence, it's a 16.
Okay. You feel like quite a lot of people died, at least dozens, maybe 100 or more. You were really busy at the time. The people around you, as you were watching the army flow back to the bivouac that they have set up, it did not feel smaller than when it marched on the Kraken. Not significantly. Your estimate is that this army is 2,000 or more strong, so losing 100 isn't a huge deal.
So they're probably still like 1900.
At least, yeah. They could have more than 2,000.
And do I know like the strength of like Aspara's army?
The strength of Aspara's army. Yes. You know that Aspara generally has a standing army as a nation of some 12,000, broken up into the different places that its captain trained. You know that this confrontation with Bromdor has probably significantly weakened it.
But still, I could assume that the powers that several nations could bring, even in a weakened state, would be a lot more than the power of this army.
You know that a good chunk of Aspara's army has been fighting in Ebengard already, and that they recently lost contact with those soldiers. You don't know how many they are.
Alright.
So you know stuff has been happening while you've been doing these other things, and that most of that stuff is not going super well.
Okay.
So if your two main thoughts for where to draw army from are Ebengard and Aspara, your character knows that that's a very uncertain bet to place.
Don't we have Bromdor's promise too?
Yep. Bromdor's army was gathered up, broken up, and sent out to 4 nations to start a big war on the orders of, air quotes, Sivin, which was actually Rowan, utilizing his power there, so Bromdor doesn't currently have a working army, because they overcommitted on all fronts.
Alright. It turns out this is basically our only hope. I was kind of under the assumption that we had...
You know that Tatsuya's army is comprised of people from all the nations. He's been sending them here since Bala rose.
Honestly, this sounds more and more like Tatsuya just fucked the world over and we're all gonna die.
I mean, more than one bad thing can happen at a time. It could be poorly timed.
Spoiler alert. No, I was kidding.
But it definitely seems like, go ahead.
I feel like what you just said, and more bad things can happen at the same time. I feel like that's pretty much this campaign at this point. Like, we got the dragons, we got the lich, we got Zephyr. There's still, like, we still don't know where the Beholder went, if that's ever gonna be a threat again. There's also, like, the Mind Flayers wanting to attack. Hopefully that is dealt with for the next 100 or so years, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Am I missing something?
D&D World is
yeah.
dangerous.
We're all
Rowan.
just gonna join up in one Avenger squad and attack us.
Yeah.
This is not freaking
The assassin's skill is not really on our side at the moment.
Avengers. Everyone's gonna come out of portals at the end right in front of us.
Villains, assemble. They're led by Fulbury. She's like, haha, fooled you.
Oh my goodness.
So basically, everybody we've allied with has already lost every bit of army they have.
I mean, you don't know that for certain, but you have been getting news recently that I'm reminding you that you got that says that it is not necessarily there. It might be there. You might have to go dig it out. But you're not able to just call for it. That's for certain. Call on Shirakawa. You haven't heard about anything bad happening to them.
How many people have died because of Tatsuya?
Probably a lot.
My tribe, over half my tribe.
Pretty much everybody in Aspara, or not Aspara, in Arcosia.
The seat of Bahamut, which is one city in Arcosia.
That was the capital. And
Yeah.
Most population.
I mean, there's 10 million people in New York City, but there's 350 million people in the U.S., so I wouldn't say that's most of the population.
True, but Arcosia's nowhere near the size of the U.S.
No, but I mean, like, I'm saying that there could be a similar proportional spread of people.
True, but it's still a lot of people are dying.
Yeah, I'm not denying that at all. A lot of people are dying.
I don't know, it seems like Tatsuya's already destroyed every army that could help us.
Possible.
And that we're probably just fucked.
What do you mean? We're the champions.
Yeah, you think that we can take 5 fucking dragons and then...
Raiken's
I guess
sure
we're
willing
gonna
to
have
try.
to. It's our only hope, since Tatsuya went and pretty much exterminated half the fucking world. At the end of this, too, Tatsuya should definitely not be hailed as any sort of hero. He should be fucking either executed or in prison for being a fucking genocidal monster.
You say this out loud?
No, I'm saying this over the phone.
Sorry, Sam.
Surely there's a compromise. At least wait until we can get some more of the technology. We can equip the army with more technology, get more grenades, and then we can head to Evangard. We will go get the scale in the meantime.
I mean, I invite you to go and get more technology for us. I will remind you that I've already got a main line on it.
Yes, and you're going to need to get more of those grenades.
I have more coming.
Good. Get as many as you possibly can get.
I will do my best. If you get even more, then all the better. Is what I'm to understand there that you believe that there is a possibility that we could combine our efforts?
I think you basically left the world, the only hope is you.
I think that the world's only hope is the world. And he gestures to his army. That's them.
Yeah, and the thousands upon thousands of people that were already killed in your mad quest for genocide, you piece of shit.
I find that what I have learned, times soldier, wars, that nothing brings people together quite like tragedy.
And I'm sure all those people who are dead would agree. I'm sure all the people in the army who would be happy to know that you're the reason their loved ones are dead.
I think that all of them are pragmatic enough to know that at this point it doesn't matter. What matters is protecting what they have.
True. But don't you think that you're the fucking hero in this?
I do think I'm the hero here.
You're not.
I won't be to everyone, but that's how it goes. Every hero is someone's villain. If I'm yours...
Hero like a lich is. We're working with you because the dragons need to be stopped. We can help each other.
And that's all that matters to me.
This plays into the thought, Tatya, that just because you can do something that might be good doesn't mean you should always do it if the means are... It's just, I feel the means to quite big extent outweigh the result.
When you are called upon to serve Bahamut, and he shows you the path to end the suffering under Tiamat forever, then you can tell me about how you chose not to follow it.
He told you what needed to be done, not exactly how to do it.
He gave
Didn't
me
have-
the information I needed to see this through.
Yeah,
And-
clearly not caring about all of the hundreds of thousands of people. Who are
Well,
gonna get
it's not only
in the
that.
process.
Doesn't mean that you can't rely on us also to help to make a better path that still leads to the same result.
I think that I am relying on you for that.
Not without any-
I've trusted you with information you didn't have.
to an extent because we were very persistent with you. But anyways,
You're ignoring the bigger problem here. You're worried about the ends, the means, the morality. I'm telling you because I have been studying this situation. I have been directing this situation to the best of my ability toward its best possible chance of success. That you have a deadline that you seem to have been previously unaware of. If you let more dragons gather to the cause of those children of Tiamat, then our battle becomes that much harder, perhaps impossible. Our advantage now is the discord of these selfish beasts.
Selfish.
Yes.
Just funny because you sure share a lot of similarities with them.
If all you can do is throw insults, Mr. Draknir, then perhaps you should let another speak. I have not insulted your reasons, morals, or means of going about your plan, only told you why, with evidence, I believe it will not work as well as my plan. And I have invited you to be part of my plan. I think I've been more than magnanimous, he says, turning angrily toward Thandros. Why should I give any more time to your brother? At this, Thandros is going to turn toward Tatsuya and place the helmet beneath his arm, and says, Well, because exactly the reasons you've said, Commander. We need more power. We have less time, and they have it. You've given them the information they didn't have. Let them process it. Discuss it after dinner. And he turns toward the party. The expression on his face seems to indicate that he hopes that you'll take his lead. But you may choose your own actions.
I will follow Sandros' lead.
Well, wait. Well, this is for Lee to go eat dinner and talk later, right? Or wait.
He seems to be throwing you the bone that if you end the conversation with an understanding that of what Tatsuya has given you as something to think about and to come up with more plans, that this could be a more productive discussion later when tensions have cooled a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I was, yeah. Okay. No, yeah.
He seems to consider Thandros' words, resuming an air of calm about himself and turning back toward the party. Says, yes, perhaps I have given you a great deal to think about. I should invite you to one of our fire pits to fill your bellies and think about it. Would you join us?
So how about you
I'll
guys
join you, brother.
go? Is there any answer?
How long has it been? Is she almost done with guys summoning Lorelei?
Yeah, I mean, you've been talking for, I don't know, half an hour?
Yeah, so she's sitting cross-legged a little bit away. She can hear you, just not necessarily that close. Not enough to be disturbed, pretty much. And she got like a little. She got some incense burning in front of her. To outsiders not knowing what she's doing, it looks like she's just having a time.
Totally just incense, don't worry about it.
I think the incense is burning a little strongly.
Oh,
That's because you got the good stuff.
with the noises of agreement coming out of the group, Tatsuya is going to turn on his heel and begin heading over to the army. And Thandros is going to watch him go, still holding Tatsuya's helmet.
Oh, sorry.
No, you have something to say?
No, I wasn't gonna say anything. It's more just response to the situation, but continue describing the situation.
It's going to devolve into talking, so you should ask now.
Well, it was more watching them if they're leaving us alone for a minute, are they leaving without us, to where it's just us at the moment.
Yeah, he's walking back to his army. He figures you'll head over when you're ready. His words were, "You need time to think about the information I've given you. Take the time, and we'll talk about it after a meal." And he's only conceded that because Thandros pointed out that it might be a good idea. And so he's departed you. Vendor.
Do not like that man.
Yeah, but
Well, Sandros. Good to see you, brother.
He's going to put both of the helmets he had under his arms down on the ground, and as he rises back up, you do see a fond smile on his face. He says, "I didn't think I would see you anytime soon, brother." He's going to walk over with his arms extended.
I'll give him a big hug.
That's a warmer welcome even than I thought to receive. By the way, how did you know I was here?
We did actually talk to him with Ash's things. So we did.
We did, but I don't think that. I think we started that conversation saying that we knew where he was.
Yeah.
Essentially, because we started
Yes.
the conversation by asking him.
Yes.
And so Laramentis will raise his hand at that question and say, that would be because of me.
He's a very smart dude. Knows a lot. He casts a very cool spell. You want to tell him about it?
Certainly. The short of it is that I can, in a location, look back in time. And so we saw your fight where you were taken and the intervention and appearance of Tatsuya. And that led us to realize that you would be likely a reasonable point of contact.
As you're explaining the spell to him, you're going to see the smile kind of slowly fade off of his face, and by the end, you're proudly talking about everything that you got out of the spell and how you used it. He looks downright worried. He says, "And who have you told about this spell?"
It has been shared with some people in the Mages Guild. And other than that, out of character, I think it's just us and the soldier that saw me cast the spell.
Yeah, but you did give it to,
And Nalia.
Nalia.
Which is what Laramentis meant when he said people
Some
in the
people,
Mages Guild.
yeah. Are you a student of war, elf?
Not generally, no.
I can't tell you what to do, but you should consider limiting number of people who know that this can be done. I mean, retroactive spying. Dangerous implications for the future of warfare. He sighs, and the smile kind of slowly rises back to his face and says, "But anyway, I am glad to see you here, Vendar. I wasn't sure how that battle was going to turn out. We were losing Aspara to Bromdor at the time, and I had managed to save my people at the expense of myself. I realized that could be the end. I'm glad that it wasn't, but it certainly wasn't planned. How's Mother?"
She's doing well, especially knowing now that all of her children are safe.
Oh.
At least alive.
So she knows I'm here?
That one he would know.
Yeah,
because she spoke with him.
Oh, right. Sorry, this is me not remembering certain details.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was quite worried about you. When we figured out what happened and we were able to contact you, it was a great weight off her chest.
Good. Thank you for doing that, Vendar.
Of course. I'm happy that you're okay. I was very worried.
All of her children are safe. Right. You, Vicaris, then, how is he?
He's doing much better. I'm not sure if you were aware, but Father had been feeding him some sort of elixir that increased his strength, but damaged his mind. And once he didn't have access to it anymore, the withdrawal effects were severe.
I didn't know that you were aware.
I only became aware when a short time ago when we made it back to Everwatch. That's the first time I'd seen Vicaris in years. However, I was able to identify what the elixir was and help create a substance that will help wean him off of it and make him be okay. He's been doing much better with it. That's
amazing. You can do such things. I I've missed so much while you've been away, and I have.
I have grown quite skilled at alchemy. It was primarily for poisons, but it feels good to use it to make something positive. He actually wants to become an alchemist himself, and I think that maybe if we all survive this, me and him will go into business together as in alchemy.
He's his head is bouncing in agreement with this suppressed chuckle. He says, "That's excellent. That's so good to hear. Honestly, with how we were raised, with Father always sending us off to our own missions, there were times I wondered if we even still could call ourselves a family. But
I think
I always
we
did as he
finally
asked.
can.
Finally,
I'm not sure if you're aware, Father is dead.
he you kind of see like this dawning expression as his eyes kind of widen as he tips his head back away, mouth agape, as finally after a moment he kind of clears it. He says, "How? What happened?"
It's long and complicated, but I'm responsible, as are former members of your personal squad.
No.
Do I remember the name?
I
of
don't
the guy?
remember the name, but yeah, Vendar would, so he says it.
Alright, so I'll give him the name.
Oh. He like closes his eyes, pained, as he lets out this long sigh. He was a very devoted soldier, and I was probably a little too candid with him. I didn't think that he would... I'm sure he had his reasons, thinking he was getting justice. They didn't know. Vendar, my squad, they think I'm dead. Did you tell any of them after you used that spell?
I haven't seen any since. I ran into him in what's the name of the town that...
Elizon.
I ran into him in Elizon, and we had a brief conversation. I admit I wanted Father dead after everything he had done. I had planned on being the one to do it, but I needed to make sure that Asparo, that Everwatch was okay, that Lilith was safe. I wanted to make sure that you were safe.
It hurts to hear these things, Vendar, but I find that I can't exactly blame you. I didn't hate Father, but I did not agree with all of his decisions. I wish it had could have gone differently.
I don't know to what extent he knew what he had me do, what he had my former master do. Don't believe you would hold him in any regard if you knew.
Are you alright?
I don't think I'll ever be alright. But I'm working to try to be a better person.
He slowly, without breaking eye contact with you, looking at you firmly, he nods. And then he kind of, puts a hand out and grabs your shoulder and kind of pulls you in against his armor again. Alright. I think that this is probably a poor time to be digging into all of that, but suffice it to say that I trust you. And that when we're back in Aspara with Mother, you should tell me all the things that I don't know.
I will. It wasn't easy, but I've done a lot, and I've worked to make up for what I did. And I've been reaccepted into our family. Although, especially, it was hard to work through our problems, but we have.
She was quite close with Father. He doted on her quite a lot.
And she was the least aware of what he really was.
Alright. Then, it is my goal to get through this, he says, casting his eyes about, taking in the universe, and get back to Mother. See if we can piece things back together from when I was taken. When I left. He corrects himself with a slumping of his shoulders. By this time, he's released you again. I'd been there. I had just... shouldn't have abandoned the family. I believed that I was doing what was right for my soldiers, but there are so many other factors that I should have considered. Vendar, suffice to say that I'm sorry that all of this has happened, and I feel responsible.
You should. You're not responsible for his actions. And you thought you were doing, like you were doing, a very important thing. These dragons need to be stopped.
That they do. The situation is as bad as he says, you know.
I do know. Sounds like that our plans aren't going to hold through. Ideally, we can at least get reinforcements, though.
From where?
At least in the form of technology. Aspara, our sister, as you probably know, was engaged to the Empress's son, and they have been married. It's unfortunate that you were unable to meet them.
I missed it. Damn. She's gonna be pissed.
Yes, you will have a lot of making up to do.
But yes, I was more or less aware. Spara is one of our supply lines. You might have noticed, he says, waggling a finger in the direction of the docks where you fought, that the soldiers are carrying a great many magic weapons, not just the grenades you mentioned. Simple enchantments. Enough to get past these magical resistances that some monsters seem to have.
Yes. Magic is a very useful tool, even if it's only a little bit.
Yes. I think that that's why we were able to overcome the Kraken at all. Those that weren't supplied yet with magic weapons, I saw, they were simply deflecting. Couldn't penetrate its hide at all. But the magicked ones...
It's likely to be the same against the dragons. However, those grenades that were incredibly useful.
Yes.
There was additional technology that we found. It's a projectile weapon. It shoots it uses some sort of internal combustion to shoot a piece of metal forward at incredible speed.
Really? You have one?
Yes. I've left it with our sister, and she has as far as top engineers reverse engineering it.
I see. Well then, I think we would have it here ere long. We've got
Ideally so.
boats constantly back and forth with the mainland. He's well connected, Vendor. I know you don't like him. But he
really
does have a plan. I'm not asking you to like him, Vendor. I'm not. If half of what you say is true, this is terrible, to say the least.
And it is all true. And at this point, we are stuck with him.
That's what I need you to understand. We're stuck with him, but he will enable us to succeed.
It is still important to me that he not be remembered as a hero for this. This only happened. These people are only dead because of him.
I don't know how you'll prevent that.
Hopefully the truth will be enough to do it, but
Laramentis will say, the Temple of Ione will be certain to have the correct records of things.
at least history will remember him for who he was, even if the people don't.
What he says is true about Bahamut, though. He did get this information from a divine source. Bahamut wants this.
And that's just proof that Bahamut isn't benevolent. Bahamut is simply a god with its own fucking greedy, selfish things.
Well, it's not even that. It's the fact that he was given the information to succeed at the task, but the path of the task was not given to him.
Bahamut is Bahamut, as any god is. They have their purview. Cord wants you to go to war, he says, gesturing at Raiken. He doesn't really care which side wins.
Yes, that's true.
And
Does that make Cord a monster?
Well, the court doesn't pretend to be benevolent.
I don't think he's pretending. But that is for each person to decide. That's why we
He just
don't
doesn't-
all
he
follow
just
all the
doesn't see
gods.
people as, he sees that the defeating Tiamat, even though Tiamat wasn't a threat to anybody at the time, he sees that killing Tiamat is worth every life on this planet.
Tiamat wasn't a threat to anybody?
Not directly. Tiamat and her children weren't actively rampaging and destroying the world.
Were there no chromatic dragons doing anything terrible? I'm only saying they're not unconnected.
Not unconnected. But the
Well-
idea that this will even stop evil.
yeah, that's
Even if we kill Tiamat, evil's not going to go away. There's
There's-
always going to be evil in this world ready to do harm.
well, we found out from records that there was a god that had passed or was gotten rid of, and another one just took its place. So that's more of also where a little bit of the concern is. Just because we remove Tiamat doesn't mean a better or worse evil won't take its place.
Is it
Evil will
worth
still
fighting
be-
Tiamat at all, then?
But yeah, that's the thing that we've also been fighting with ourselves.
To say if it's worth fighting Tiamat. At this point, we don't have all that much choice. We could reseal them.
But so that's what, like I said, that's what we've been dealing with us mentally.
But if we
Weighing
reseal them,
everything.
there's always going to be another Tatsia. Bahamut's never going to let go of this. He's always going to do everything he can to try to get rid of Tiamat no matter the cost. The cost has already been paid here, at least a significant amount of it.
So, to not render those lost lives valueless, we should fight Tiamat.
Yes. At least hope that it means Bahamut's not going to try to do anything like it again. Though it's not necessarily saying that whatever evil takes Tiamat's place won't have some other god doing a similar thing. All we can do is deal with how it is now.
Okay. And you believe that fighting Tiamat is the best way to deal with how it is now? I'm not...
I've had some argument in the group over that, but personally, at this point, I think yes.
Deal me in, brother.
I'm not necessarily against defeating Tiamat, because it's hard to say what will happen. Maybe the world will be better
Okay.
with that evil destroyed, or maybe they'll simply be replaced by something else.
But there's a chance that the world will be better and the evil will be destroyed.
There is, and the cost has already been... We've already paid such a high cost at this point. I think it's worth defeating Tiamat, or at least trying.
Alright. Which means that we need the white scale.
Yes.
Which is now being guarded by a full lich who's had 1,000 years to plan how to keep people from getting it.
Yeah, it's not going to be the easiest task.
Not to mention the small army he is leading. Of magical warriors.
We'll figure
We
out
never
what
like
it
to make it easy for ourselves.
I'm not saying this is a reason not to do it. He waves at both of you. I'm saying that we need a plan.
Yes, we do need a plan.
Tatsuya has one.
Tassia has a plan on how to get the scale of Widemir.
Yes.
What's his plan?
Well, that's what this army is for. But in the small way, it's a lot like the last plan, which almost worked. According to him, would have, had you not been there to interfere.
I certainly have doubts that it would
Yeah,
have
we didn't
properly
really
succeeded.
We didn't really fight against him the way he seems to say. Like, we didn't actually attack any of his men.
That's not true.
That's not true?
No.
What exactly happened?
For one thing, when you snaked Tatsuya from his position of leading his army in the battle, his position collapsed.
Alright.
You also set off several traps that were planted in the ground on his soldiers, which made them easy pickings for the enemy. And one of your members did attack several of his soldiers and down them. You and Raiken were off attacking the leading man for Tresnor's army,
Right,
but you
yeah.
were on both sides of the battlefield attacking both sides.
Because remember, because Raiken used the thunder gun too at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That was on
Raiken
Tresnor's people, though.
Raiken
Yes.
was going just for Tresnor's people.
Who attacked Raiken's people? I mean, Tatsia's people?
They were. Who attacked that?
I know who it was, but I
Yonsei
don't
attacked them?
know that the party was aware that it happened, necessarily.
I don't know.
But you are all aware that when the group went to go snatch Tatsuya, they set off Evard's Black Tentacles trap that snatched up a bunch of his casters.
Yeah, and it was Leah and Jebel's fault for slashing Tatsuya.
You also know two other things. That the place was warded to let him know if Dragonborn appeared in it, which you set off those wards when you showed up. So they were on alert, and perhaps Tatsuya was sneaking his army in. And two, you then informed him of Tatsuya's army, his forces, his potential direction of approach. So they were very well prepared to go fight them. Which they may not have
the potential direction of approach, we had stated wrong.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Laramendes is at least convinced that had we not informed them of that, they would have found it out probably very quickly anyway. That, like, you know, magical wards, doesn't matter how sneaky you are. If it's like, if a Dragonborn crosses this line, ping me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're like,
It's true. But it does matter if there's a Dragonborn already in there setting the ward off constantly.
True.
So they don't know when others are entering.
Well, in that case, then we would have only helped them by being there. If it wasn't for all of the other things that we did to
If it wasn't for this and this and this and this.
Yeah. So, Laramendes, Tatsuya's position in that fight was not as sure as he seems to want everyone to think it was.
Well. Even still. Perhaps a fight isn't necessary? You've spoken with this lich. Maybe...
Ideally, yes, we could convince him, but it does... Maybe we could trick him?
Trick him.
He seems pretty dead set against not waking up the dragons.
No, that's what I've been told as well. And tricking him would have the added benefit of making him very upset when he realizes he's been tricked.
There's that, yeah.
I'm also unsure how we would be able to go about that.
Yeah, I mean, if we could convince him, that'd be the best. I mean, maybe we could convince him that it's too late to stop the dragons, and maybe we can even convince him to help us fight the dragons. Super against the dragons.
Oh, that's actually an interesting point. He's lived so many years to gain and he's gained a lot of power.
If we could somehow convince him to help us in the fight, he would be a massive aid. But I imagine he would be more inclined to try to reseal the dragons over killing them and defeating Tiamat.
I think he would most certainly be more inclined for the dragons to be resealed, and I think that given the options between 4 of the children free and Widemir still sealed, no matter what kind of chaos those 4 would be able to commit, he would choose that situation.
Well, yeah, there's also the fact that he believes in Shagrazir's path that Shagrazir chose.
Which involves explicitly not killing them and then fighting Tiamat.
Yeah,
And
I don't
he has
see this
had
any way of...
an extremely long amount of time to stew in those thoughts. I doubt that we will be able to change his mind, short of powerful magics.
Yeah.
Which he would be prepared for.
He won't. Yeah, just says from distance.
Your spell is over.
Powerful magic?
Okay. You can't convince him. He became the very thing he swore to protect the world against in order to keep this shell. He lost everything worth living for. This is his entire purpose. You can't make him change his mind.
Well, we could at least use our relationship with him to get close. So that might just not be a good idea. We have to come up with a solid plan before we do anything. Still, I think we would have a better chance of getting it without significant You know, it'd be better if we could do it and get the skill than risk more of the army.
So you think you can do it on your own better than with the army? Idea.
At the very least, it would save the army from casualty. We need every man we have against the dragons.
At this point, Leah, you can rejoin the group as Lorelei forms out of the mists of the incense before you.
Yeah.
And says, I really need to stop standing in front of big monsters.
Yeah. Especially ones that can see you and being invisible.
That bastard. That's cheating, you know.
Yeah. Though I guess we don't really know if he could see you. You could have just been in a unlucky position. But the dragons could.
Be a pretty impressive shot if it couldn't see her. Thing was quite big. Lorelei is quite small.
Perhaps you should make better use of the. Is it technically a demiplane that you shove them in?
Yeah, sort of. The way I've been running it is that it dismisses their consciousness back to wherever it summoned from, and their form is in like a demiplane. That way, they're not trapped in a Pokeball look, staring at nothing forever.
I was planning to do that.
Oh,
but...
pocket dimension. That's what the spell calls it.
They call it a pocket dimension. It was the same.
Yeah. Look, I was planning to do that. I just didn't get the time.
Perhaps that should be done before we teleport in future situations.
Yeah.
In case there are.
Whoa, hey, you're not keeping me out of these fights. It's my job to protect Leah on behalf of Zintharamil.
What did you just say?
Zintharamil?
You almost said something else fast.
Yeah, me, the DM, did.
Okay.
I imagine that's what I was thinking.
That's what I expected, but I was like, we should confirm.
We should make sure that she didn't just slip her. She's actually a spy for a second.
Damn it. Blew my own
This
cover.
isn't how we were supposed to find out.
I wanted to find another way to do this.
Go over to the other Warlock, and the Warlock's like, Lorelei?
That would be so devastating.
It really would.
But it was a different patron.
It would be amazing and devastating, and it would not match the continuity at all.
No, but,
Yes.
you know.
Big old plot hole.
Anyway, yeah. I will fill Lorelei in on the whole discussion we had with
Thandros.
like, no, not with Thandros, like what Leah's been having, like with Sephiroths.
That.
And
Right.
like their entire ambush and everything about that. And about the FOD, or maybe getting Zintharamil included in this. Or if she thinks that's a bad idea, using it as a lure to get the information we want of the guy and then read him somehow. Which, of course, he would say telepathically.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how long he can listen. Like how far he can listen.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I wouldn't really trust anyone who's that ready. I mean, it's not untrue what he says. Mercenaries going for the highest bidder if he thinks Zin has a better deal. As for their method of communication. They'd just do what I do, probably. The patron sends us to the Warlocks, so we always have a bond back to him. Patron can use us to speak to you if they need. We've done it. I just imagine they're doing the same.
I guess they wouldn't have their familiar close by.
Can their familiar become invisible?
Here's an important fact about that, Tristan.
Uh-huh.
We leveled up last time,
Uh-huh.
and I chose the invocation that allowed me to see anything, like every true form and anything invisible within 30 feet.
Within 30 feet?
30 feet of true
Yeah.
sight?
Dang. I thought my
It's
10 feet of blind sight was nice.
yeah, it's like a 15 level requirement thing from
Mhm.
Warlocks. And let me find it. It's so I would be able to know if it was still there when we started this session.
Yep. What's your perception?
Let's see. You can see the true form and any shapeshifter or creature concealed by illusion or transmutation magic while the creature is within 30 feet if of you and in line of sight. Yeah.
Yeah, so they can still hide.
Yeah. It's if they can just hide, then yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, if they were over in 10 feet, within 10 feet of me.
Yeah, but if they were in 10 feet of you, they're in 30 feet of her, and they're probably not well hidden.
Sure.
So you'd both
Yeah.
see them at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to roll perception or just have it like that?
Well, tell me what the passive is.
The passive is 18.
Okay, and would you have been looking actively for it?
Not while having the discussion.
Okay. Then you didn't notice anything during that discussion.
Okay. So if they're close, if they have a familiar, they're hiding well. I haven't noticed them, but I haven't been particularly looking for them.
Well, maybe we should look for them. Although I don't know what good it would do. I think we can already assume they have one and it's hiding somewhere.
Or it was with one of the people that left. They were a group, and some of them went into Hellmouth.
How many were there?
Voice in the sky, how many were there?
10.
10.
That's a lot
Yes,
of warlocks.
Yes, and it seems like this entire group was only like a couple of months old. We got that information out of them.
They've been training hard if they took you guys on.
Well, they didn't stand much of a chance, to be honest, but...
They didn't train hard enough.
They
Well,
did
that-
manage to get Raiken
They got-
down, but
They got Raiken down, but the rest of us was...
they tried to kill him when he was down too.
Oh, you don't say. Raiken lost a fight?
Yeah.
That's
What?
interesting.
Never.
Yeah, Raiken
I have never
loses.
lost.
Never loses.
He got better.
He strategically lost so that he could win better later.
Exactly.
He lost to give me the motivation to turn the person who tried to kill him into goo.
It was a tactical defeat.
I'm
Let's
still
go
here,
with that.
right? But I haven't lost.
Yeah, he didn't even go visit the Graven Queen.
Probably for the best. She probably wouldn't let you leave.
I don't know. I could maybe convince her.
You gonna sleep with the Raven Queen?
Yeah, what? Ew.
What?
Or lie.
You said it.
I that wasn't what I was meaning.
You said it all suave and sexy like.
That wasn't
I
suave.
don't know if
and sexy
Raiken
like.
has a suave and sexy bone in his body.
I must have imagined it then.
Or either that or sprites have a strange way of flirting.
Well, that's definitely true. Uh-huh. Fuck.
Dropped something?
Just...
Trying to put Lorelai in, he can't.
So stupid! Oopsie. Eh. Fucking hell. It's like so many tokens are like this these days. Are not torchy. Wait. Where's Torch? There's Torch, because you're not invisible. Right? She's not invisible, right?
I see her.
Yeah. No, I meant she wouldn't be invisible now.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay. Anyway. So, yeah. They're definitely dangerous. I don't know. If the guy is really thinking himself as a mercenary, yeah, maybe he'll joins in, but, like, for how long? It's a risk. Maybe Zin thinks it'll be worth taking. I'd be a little worried about that. I'm gonna advise him against it.
Yeah, I'm very torn, which is why I needed your guidance. I don't think this is a person we really want to see the sanctuary. I'm just curious if we could use him in a different way.
Well, yeah, probably. Alright, so you want me to talk to Zin for you?
Yes, that would be useful.
Okay, give me some time to catch him up on things. You, tell
Try
Raiken.
to bring it to him gently. I don't want him freaking out knowing I fought 10 Warlocks without you.
I've known Zintharno a long time. I know how to handle him.
Uh-huh.
I do! You don't. Why do you
sure.
sound so skeptical?
Well, yeah, do you have the habit of overreacting?
Me?
No, Sin.
Yes, I know he does. That's why I handle him.
Well, I trust you in that.
He's only overreacted when you told him something without putting it through me first, which is what we're doing now. We learned. And you can't blame the Raiken stuff on me. He did that himself.
Fine. I trust you.
Thank you.
Don't really have much of a choice.
Wow. I don't know where this is coming from, Leah.
It's been a long day.
So why are you taking it out on me? I haven't even been here for it.
No, sorry. It's just... I could really need a rest. Trying to intimidate those guys. It's not my style.
Maybe that's a good thing, she says with a smile.
I give a smile back, but it doesn't look entirely genuine.
Do whatever this is and tell him to stop being so sexy. She's like,
What?
she's saying improper things. Tell him to stop saying improper things. She like sits down on your shoulder, turns away, and is like, I got things to do.
Okay. I'll try my best.
So with that, she's going to be doing things. You have Thandros here, who seems to be on your side and open to all of your ideas, and is just offering you what information he can as counterpoints. You are talking about the sunk cost of lives in Tatsuya's plan thus far, and how they compare with fighting Tiamat.
I would like to discuss with people at the university, get people at the university thinking about putting some thought behind what might happen when the god dies and how we might be able to attempt, more specifically, how we might be able to attempt to mitigate any issues that might be coming up. I don't know that anything is likely to reveal itself in that, but I feel like we should have people doing that thought if possible.
Are you telling me or the party?
That's Larmetta saying to the group.
Okay, cool.
Maybe see if they're willing to lend any mages to aid in the fight too.
They already have committed quite a few.
I imagine that the ones that are still there are not going to be sufficiently trained that it is worth their
Alright.
lives.
Well, knowing that they had already done that, I assume I would have known that. I wouldn't have said anything then.
Okay.
Look. A lot of people, after the dragons attacked their homes, killed their families, took their lives from them, either sought out this army directly, or sought out Sol Sarakas and found ways to get there. We recruited quite a few people from there, people who had gone there specifically to learn magic to fight the dragons. And some of them are still there, hoping to learn powerful magic to fight the dragons, and some learned enough to get by. Do cantrips, first level spell, and immediately answered Atsuya's call. And several of those are here now. People who were driven to the university and then drawn back out of it to this army. Tatsuya said that he was able to spend a little time in the university recruiting, which surprised me.
Looking at the university with us.
So it's true.
Yes, we went to the university so that we could get to the Feywild to go find Raiken.
I wondered how he would have been able to get there and come here.
Yeah, see, he was with us at the time because it was just after the failed attempt to get Withermure's scale.
He certainly works fast if he was able to do much in the amount of time that we were there.
Yeah, we were not there long, only like a day. Like, we got there, like, I think in the middle of the day, and we rested, and then pretty much immediately left.
Hilariously, his recruiting was roleplayed.
It was?
Yep.
I don't remember it at all.
I mean, the group wasn't, like, in the room with him, but it was done in the public channel when I was running that scene. When he went to shower. Anyway, so,
I think I remember it.
yeah.
That would have been you doing it.
I hope you remember, you roleplayed it! Why didn't you tell me you were recruiting people under our nose, Raiken? It wasn't me.
Alex I remember it differently.
So, kill Tiamat. That's still priority 1, yes?
No.
And that
Yes,
is
we-
better than sealing them again.
No. I have been thinking so, and Raiken certainly thinks so.
Okay.
Leah has different opinions.
You know why?
And I'm sure she can tell you, but she doesn't. She's got real big issues with Tatsuya, even more so than I do.
Well, it's good to hear all sides, right?
He committed mass genocide in order to prolong like a future peace that won't happen. I don't trust any person like that.
Why do you think it won't happen?
As previously stated, time finds its way. There will always be evil in this world. If it's not the dragons, it will be something else. You can't just destroy it all by bringing forth this specific threat.
But it is possible with this threat gone, there will be less. Which is the
For a while, but then
hope, I think.
something will have to take the god's place, right?
Well,
We don't know.
Let me go for it.
There's also the possibility that whatever takes its place will be a, if evil, possibly lesser evil, or possibly even something good.
There is
Also
also the
possible.
possibility
It's a
that it will be
greater evil.
worse.
I mean, yes, that is also a possibility too.
For all we know, Tiamat's simply a cork in a dam of way worse evil.
Well, if that were the case, wouldn't the greater evil have already destroyed her? And taken her place?
Not if they can
Hard to say.
coexist.
Then wouldn't we be fighting both of them already?
Maybe we are.
Maybe we are. But let me just say this, because I feel that no matter what you choose, I feel like I need to put this out there. I don't like, and he turns to Leah to say this, I don't like the idea that our struggles don't matter. I don't like the idea that defeating Tiamat would be meaningless and not change anything. I mean, maybe it's true, but I can't live believing that. If nothing I try to change ultimately matters because I destroy this evil, another evil comes along to take its place and nothing changes, then why do anything, ever?
Gotta fight for what's right, but one thing you fail to understand here that is that we would not be having this problem with the dragon if it wasn't for Tatsuya. He brought this on us.
He brought
The dragons
event.
were resting. They were not gonna come back.
That's not necessarily the case. If it is entirely possible that if not Tatsuya, then someone else.
In fact, almost certainly, because as we said before, Bahamut hasn't let this vendetta against Tiamat go for countless millennia, and he never will.
Which is also why I don't really like Bahamut.
Same here. See, I'm very much
Is there a
similar
god
to
you
your
do
opinion.
like?
Ones that do not interfere and want to destroy mere mortals for their personal gains. The Raven Queen
Sounds
seems
like the
fine.
answer was a no.
Well, then she must really hate Cord then.
I am not really a fan of Cold either, no.
Fuck your god, Dad! He just sort of like steeples his fingers a moment, like clearly trying to figure out how to phrase his next words. Perhaps there isn't a god in this pantheon that you would like. I mean, going by pure numbers, the Raven Queen takes more than anyone. Lives, that is to say. They are.
It does, but she doesn't directly intervene with it. When people die by different means, she comes and brings and takes them, but she doesn't go to this world to take them. Nor does it send any avatars or the likes.
I don't
She's passive.
know that we have enough information about the machinations of the gods to be certain about any of their plans one way or the other.
My only difficulty with what you've just said, Leah, is you said she doesn't send any avatars in the world, but, like, you met a Larn, and he is a devout instrument of the Raven Queen, who was very ready to kill you guys if you didn't do what he said.
Which he was open about.
Which he was very open about.
I forgot about that.
So, she does intervene too, just in other ways.
Yeah.
Not to say you shouldn't like the Raven Queen, she's great, I love her, but, like, I don't want to lie to you. They all do this, every god.
Yeah, you shouldn't assume that the gods really care much about mortals.
And why should we care about them?
I don't know.
Besides, I'm still not entirely convinced that defeating these dragons is the right choice. I don't believe they're good, but I do believe that they don't want Tiamat to return. Maybe...
Well, yeah, 'cause that would mean killing them. They wanna be the ones who raise the world to the ground.
Oh,
I'm not entirely
hold on.
sure that's
I
exactly
want to hear
what they
what.
want.
Yeah. What do you? Hold on. Yeah. Tell me what you're saying. Like, Thandros looks genuinely intrigued by this position.
We used to believe that the Drow only wanted evil and only wanted to destroy or like bring the Underdark to us or whatever. But we learned that's not the case, and that there's a lot of Drow that doesn't feel this way. And that to me taught me that maybe these things in the world isn't that black and white. Maybe it's not just good or evil, that everything has nuances.
So
Maybe the
there is-
dragons don't want to destroy the world. Maybe they just want to live.
and
They've
have
had a
already
lot
killed
of
us.
years contemplating their ways.
Well, like we did run into the red dragon who wasn't like
The
out
black
there.
dragon.
No,
you're
he's talking about Runaround.
Yeah,
The one that
Never mind,
that
sorry.
like you couldn't call him good by any means, but he wasn't like destroying the world. He had his own little place. He had his horde, and he had people who worshipped him, and he was okay with that. Maybe we could find a way to coexist with them, or at least some of them.
I think it's worth a shot to at least try to reason with them. I said they don't want Tiamat to return any more than we do. But if they can't be reasoned with, we're left with no other choice but to fight them. But we haven't actually tried.
Huh. Well, I certainly never put any thought into that. Huh. You say you met Drow, and they're not...
Yes, there's actually an entire city, Umberlight, turned against the Spider Queen.
And we
Yeah.
have given Drow a place to live in Bromdor. Where they're living peacefully and, well, presumably peacefully for now. And, well, learning to live on the surface under our ways. Sharing knowledge with others.
They've at least
Well.
made process in coexisting with them.
I would even like to call some of them my friends.
Well, we did get introduced to one of the dragons. The black one. That one didn't seem so friendly.
No. No, we
Yeah,
didn't.
Shisharan definitely just wanted to destroy.
But then another one showed up and just told them to just leave.
I haven't seen or faced the dragon since I've been with this group. I only know what each of these survivors has told me around the campfires these past couple months. But I do believe that trying to make peace with the children of Tiamat is something that has not been suggested since I've been here. think a lot of people would find it hard to believe that it could be done.
I'm not
A lot
even
of
sure
people
if it
probably
could,
wouldn't
but
be interested
Don't
after what's
get me
happened.
wrong. When I say that, I'm not telling you it's a bad idea or I think you need to reconsider. I'm only stating my own surprise and that others will need to be convinced, but anything is worth thinking. We're talking about a potentially life-ending event here if we don't succeed in this confrontation. Whether that means defeating Tiamat, or if it means returning the dragons to their seal, or if it means finding a way to coexist. If we don't do one of those three things, right? Then we're in trouble. And that's why I'm here. That's why I came here, because I believe in this cause, that I think that we can fight these if they're truly evil. And I think they might be. Probably are, honestly, but I'm not uninterested in other points of view. Right,
you're
Vendar?
showing more wisdom than Tatsuya. I brought the idea to him and he wouldn't have it.
If we did do that, if we were to try to do that, we would probably want to find one or maybe two that we could convince. It seems they don't all get along. As you're saying, Bala doesn't seem to like her siblings very much.
She's definitely, according to our information, an instigator of the other three, yes. And she is the only one, right now, who has a brood with her. The green dragons that were there when she rose. The ones that... And he kind of spares a glance for Raiken as he... and lowers his head as he says, attacked Arcosia.
It seems unlikely Shisharan would be a good choice after what we've seen from her. Or him? Is Shisharan a...
Sharon's a she. What do you mean? You said that you saw her in the desert just now?
Yes, we were at Tuka when Shisharan was awoken and went to rampage. He was very angry and evil and all about wiping out everything.
From what I am. What?
It didn't seem like talking to it was something possible, but I don't know.
From what I understand about black dragons, they are particularly interested in destroying things. It is their one joy in life is outliving great things. That's how it was put to me in the library, anyway.
And I don't know much about the blue dragon, but if the red dragon is anything like the other red dragon we met, we might be able to convince him.
Supposedly, El Cement is one of the most level-headed of the five. You can kind of see this sarcastic look cross his face, and he kind of waves his hand, gesturing at the half-destroyed city. Says, but if that's what level-headed looks like, I very much worry what out of control looks like.
We'll find out if Whittemere is brought back. As far as I understand it, that's the worst one.
Yes, supposedly they are the least.
Most wild, least controlled.
Let's go with that. Wouldn't want to give him any reason to tear more of our limbs off.
Given what we know about the dragons, if we want to try to convince one of them to live peacefully, the red one would seem like the best chance. But again, I don't know anything about the blue one, so.
Yes, it sounds like red and blue might be
Well,
possibilities.
yeah, I wonder if that's a good way to think about it, that there are some dragons that need to be put down, but others don't as badly. I mean, it's a third option that I don't think anyone's considered.
Yeah, I mean the red dragon we ran into was coexisting. It wasn't rampaging. It seemed happy with its lot, and the people who worshipped it seemed at least alive.
I mean, hitched us a ride.
It was it was willing to make a deal with us, and so it was
You
willing to
rode a
trade
red
with us.
dragon. Like, rode
Yeah.
it. Like, you flew
It,
in the air on a red dragon.
I would not
Yeah.
recommend the experience.
we did ride on the
Nah.
We
back
also-
of it was quite rough.
We also fell from
he
it.
agreed to help us get to where we wanted, but he didn't care if we fell.
Yeah, in fact, if we fell, it meant that we had to bargain more to catch the people who fell. So it was more incentivized to try to make us fall.
Yeah, that's true. We also had to bargain with him, like give him things.
I mean, that's almost charming. I would never have expected this
Yeah,
kind of an
that's,
interaction with a dragon like that. Amazing.
It was quite the oddity, but it does speak truth in the fact that maybe they can be coexisted with.
Look, forgive my ignorance. I'm not trained in magic or particularly well schooled in histories and lore as your friends are, Vendar. He's, like, speaking to them, but kind of, like, through you, just because he knows you and none of them at all. But, look, for me, dragons, my whole childhood growing up, they were a thing, right? They were a story. They were a shadow on the wall at night to keep you scared in your bed. The knights fought them, protecting the land. The reason we had walls around our cities, these kinds of things. You never saw them because the knights fought them. The knights, fine. There are knights, there are soldiers, there are wizards. The other thing, us, people, well, I guess he kind of, like, shrugs at Vendar. Not us. But, you know, normal people, non-aristocrats. We don't deal with dragons on a daily basis. Nobody, they're a story to most of us. And my point is, most of the people over there, he says, gesturing toward the army, are like me in that regard. These dragons aren't intelligent creatures that have a plan for how to very carefully destroy everything they love. They're non-sentient beasts whose entire existence is based around destruction, and the only thing a person can do with them, if they have one wit in their head, is destroy them before they destroy you.
That's true. Probably
So-
something that we should try to educate them against, because even if we decide to kill them, they should be aware that these dragons are not mindless beasts. They are incredibly intelligent and incredibly wise.
And be aware that Tatsuya has said as much. Just, how do you teach someone about something they have a preconception of And you don't have any examples.
True.
Especially, how do you teach 3,200... I don't know what to call them. I don't want to say soldiers. They're not ready yet. Enthusiastic weapon wielders about this thing they've never seen, and all the stories say they fly, they breathe fire, and you and I now know that they don't breathe only fire. Some of them breathe other things. Apparently, you can breathe lightning. How the hell do you breathe lightning? How the hell do you breathe fire? No, I've seen fire breathers. There are people who can breathe fire. That's fine. How do you breathe lightning?
Magic.
Well,
I
don't
can breathe
like
lightning.
I can look at Raiken.
I don't like either of these two answers. Don't you breathe lightning in my presence. Cord guy.
Careful what to say, you might take it as a challenge.
Oh no.
He does like to fight.
Challenge accepted.
God damn it.
We don't have time for that.
Not now.
No one's gonna give me his name.
His name is
I'm
Raiken.
Raiken, by the way.
He's actually Tatsuya's brother.
Yes. That I remembered. I think. He looks over at the other Dragonborn.
That one's you.
And he's my adoptive father.
I'm very sorry. Yukigaza,
Hey.
you said?
Yes. He is also a champion of Bahana.
What?
Apparently there are more than one. He actually has the armor of the champion.
The wings.
Yeah, we probably should have let you know from the beginning that this group is abnormal.
I... You're unaware of our family life. I don't expect my youngest brother to run with anybody I might consider normal. But I expect the same is true of him to me.
Yeah, we're a pretty odd bunch. That's
I think I'm relatively normal.
right. Yeah.
How old are you back there?
I've
300
seen
is
you.
a
I met you.
particularly,
I met your family, Larmandes.
Never
I don't
mind.
think.
We're good. No, I
We
understand.
know where you came from.
I understand. Nope.
At nearly 10 times my age. I think that's odd.
That is a reasonable perspective for a human. If we would intend to negotiate with any of the dragons in any way, we would need quite a lot of buy-in from the countries that the dragons are threatening.
Yes, I do believe that's a good way of putting it. Luckily, we've got a lot of representatives of those countries here. And a lot of them really want to swing those weapons at dragons. But I would tell you, even though Tatsuya might recommend I don't, he lets that hang heavily for a second, that there are several, Drid, who know this is a one-way ticket. Of those, many are okay with that. But not all. And if there were another way in which they didn't have to die, you turn some heads. And if you turn enough heads, which does not have to be half the army, then the rest of them are going to realize our number is shrinking and our odds are faltering. But that's just what I learned leading armies.
If it is possible, if the red dragon can be as reasonable as the one we met, then I think that's a distinct possibility. Now the one we met was very, yeah, he was not eager to share anything. He didn't want other dragons. He wasn't particularly happy that the children of Tiamat were being woken up, and it sounds as though he's not the only dragon who thinks that.
Well, that would account for Tatsuya saying that Karasoth was having difficulty rounding up red dragons to his cause. If this one whom you rode is not unusual in their number, then that could explain that phenomenon.
Phenomena.
Shut up. In any event, I've been here with these people since pretty much the beginning. I got here very shortly after El Cement tore the place up. Excuse me. I want what's best for these people. I want what's best for the world. I still believe that that could be achieved through the means that Tatsuya has expressed, but I don't believe that that's the only path. Convince me. I will help you convince others. I need to get home to my mother.
Thank you, Thandros. I'm sure with you, we'll be able to come up with a plan that will work. I'll be able to make it home.
I'm glad you came here,
Make some
Vendar.
calls.
Making calls. If you want, I can go and retrieve food and bring it here and explain that you aren't... Let me rephrase that. I've thought of something better. I will tell Tatsuya that you don't want to, air quotes, accidentally, unduly influence soldiers in his army until you've had a chance to talk over everything with him, and so you wish to take the meal here instead. I'm certain he was hoping that he could have his army strong-arm you to his way of thinking by surrounding you with them in the food.
We would appreciate that. Thank you, Thandros.
Family always comes first. But believe me, if I really thought that you were far off the mark here, Vendar, I'd tell you. And that is why I say, I still think that Tatsuya's got a good plan and the right of this thing. But I think from what I've heard the rest of your group saying, there may be other possibilities here with less death involved. But we definitely need to take out the green one.
Yes, Bala is too dangerous and far too unpredictable.
She's also going to be the hardest to get to through her brood, so you'll need a plan for that. You'll need to be ready to talk about that plan to him, because he's going to be all about the strategy. If you can't prove to me that I can march my people here and you'll be ready for this and that, you don't have to guarantee success. You have to prove that you've thought of it and are prepared to deal with a situation. We all know that there's no guarantees in war. So don't think in absolutes. Just think in what might happen and say, yes, we thought of that, and if that happens, we plan to do this. That's about the best advice I can give you dealing with Tatsuya. He may seem extreme to you, but he respects a plan and an understanding of the enemy. If you can show him you have that, you'll have his ear in a way that I have not seen you have his ear so far. With that, he's going to snatch up the helmets off the ground and nod to the group before departing toward the army. So, you are alone for a few minutes here. Do you want to deal with that other warlock who's still standing there with the guards, looking really, really unhappy that, like, everybody's now ignoring his existence?
We should probably deal with that, yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying to do like card tricks with the guards, and none of them are paying any attention.
They're all looking at the food they're not getting to eat because they have to guard him.
Yep. One of them says, "You can summon a 6. Can you summon a chicken?"
So, I'll let Leah lead this one. Or rather, I will put forth that I think Leah should lead this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Did Lorelei come back to me with any more information about?
Oh, right, yes, that's important for this next part, isn't it?
Yeah.
Information about Zintharmil. The information specifically extracted from Zintharmil to make this plan work. Zintharmil's information.
That information?
Yes, that information.
Right here.
She is going to be ready to talk to you now that you're ready to talk to her. She's going to say, yes, I was able to speak with Zin and explain the situation in the terms that he needed to hear. He is, as ever, concerned for your safety. I assured him of it. She kind of looks around, you know, as much as I felt was not lying.
Good.
He is interested to speak with this man. In spite of my suggestions not to. I do believe he is feeling the pressures of his growing court and the fact that he has fewer warlocks to show than others who are supporting him. So, they'll want to talk to him.
And should we arrange a meeting? Should I speak through you, or should we take him somewhere?
Yes, he wants to speak as soon as you're able, so he's holding his breath. Quite literally.
Okay then. We'll then walk up to the elf, half elf.
Half-elf, yes.
That's
The
half-elf,
one
named
named
Dale.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why I named the other one Chip, because Chip and Dale.
Yeah.
That's-
So, you start heading over as a group, crunching along through the sand toward him, and he looks up and sees this, and you can see the exasperated look in his face as he sees you coming, like, finally! And he straightens himself up and, you know, resumes his standoffish posture, folding his hands over his chest. Says, so, what's the verdict?
Yeah, I'm sorry it took so long. It's it takes some time to summon my
Spare me
family
the
and-
explanation. Is he gonna give me a job?
As you wish. My patron is willing to speak with you
Right?
directly.
Alright, an interview. I'm very good at interviewing. Bring it on. Where is he?
I'll look at the guards. If you may give us a moment.
The guards just sort of like, they look at each other, they look at you, they turn and look back at the food, then they look back at you, they shrug, and they walk toward the food.
Now, Lorelei, if you may.
Lorelei is going to letter her way over to the man. And he's going to look skeptically at her and say, "What is this? She your patron?"
I smile. You will see.
And, she's going to, alight on his shoulder, and she's going to reach out a hand against his, to place against his, cheek as he, like, turns to try and watch her movements. And she says, "Hold still a moment." And he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then his voice just cuts off as he goes completely still. And his eyes, like, go blank. And you see that after a couple seconds, both her eyes and his eyes are glowing with this kind of orangey light, like dancing flames or late autumn sun through leaves. And you can't even see if he's breathing or not as he stands there like a statue with Lorelei on his shoulder. And this goes on for almost a minute. Before suddenly, like, very like, shockingly, suddenly, he draws in a breath. Doing! Whoa! Oh, man. And Lorelei kind of flutters off and floats in front of him on her wings. That was a trip.
You okay?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on. What? Yes. And he starts speaking, like answering questions that you're not posing. And you just see that Lorelei still has a bit of a glow around her whole body now as she flutters in front of him, and he's making eye contact with her, and responding to words you don't hear her saying. Yeah, and so it's a lot of, yes. Yeah, it was like that. No. Yes, I can do that. Yeah. Obviously. And it sounds very affirmative from your side of the conversation. And then, finally he says, "Yeah, anything you want. Look, I know how this arrangement goes. As long as I do it, you're happy. As long as you're happy, I'm happy." And, you see him, like, stick out his hand, and it's, like, well below where Lorelei is floating, and you see his fingers curl, as though gripping another hand there, and shakes. And there's, again, this fire bursts forth from the ground, wrapping around him, and you see his whole everything kind of flutters. And it's at that moment that you hear a voice from in the distance. And this little hiss just says, "Traitor! You've betrayed us like she did." But you don't see the source of the voice. But you hear the flapping of wings fading into the distance.
Oh, there was familiar.
And after
I guess
that
it's over one.
outburst, which he does not seem aware of, Lorelei stops glowing and flutters back to you, Leah, landing on your shoulder kind of haphazardly, like looking really exhausted. And the guy, seems to come back to it, since like blinking, looking around, like almost like something seems to be missing and he's looking for it. Yes. I guess that's it then. He looks to you, says, I guess in a way we're kin now, Leah.
I guess we are. I'm curious, does he get a black hair stray as well?
Well, since that was something you had come up with for Zentharamel, you tell me, should he?
I think it would be fun to kind of like have like a recognizable mark for everyone that has changed this way.
All right, then. Then the answer is yes. A lock of his hair bleeds to black. He doesn't seem to notice it because it's, up on his head, out of his line of sight.
Yeah.
But he just sort of smiles, but it's so hard with this guy to feel like it's genuine. That is our hard stop. So I'll finish by saying, letting you speak, actually, Leah.
Yeah. It's just, guess we are. Welcome to the gang, I guess.
Well, I've got my orders. And we'll finish that conversation next time we meet.
Yeah.
Cool. Everybody, please take 1600 experience, 1600, and we'll figure out when our next meeting is. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Bye.
Bye.